This was the first film that I've ever produced. I was in graduate school doing little stuff, and so it was quite a challenge to take on, but it's an incredible experience making a film by yourself. It's certainly challenging, but it's a ton of fun.
The experience of producing this, my first documentary by myself, was very intimidating and but extremely rewarding. It's kind of like a luxury thing that I got to do in terms of being like this one-man crew and shooting it, producing it, directing it, editing it. And that's a great way to learn filmmaking, I think. At the same time, it's very challenging, to do all of those things extremely well at the same time. But then again, it also lends you an insane amount of freedom because you're making the calls. Post making the film, post my NYU experience, it's been really exciting to see how something that I just kind of like made for a school project essentially that I ended up being pretty happy with. I was able to really get it out there and found like a really strong audience for it. And it ended up having like a pretty strong life, outside of the classroom, which was extremely rewarding. Got into, film festivals all around the world. I still get hit up for screenings. Like I just had one in Romania, so it's still being used as a tool to kind of spread that word. That's incredibly rewarding.
Directing and filming and editing my first documentary film was definitely, I would say, a life-changing experience. I'd never done anything like this before, so just going out and having to, find your characters and figure out how to operate the camera, quite frankly, in the field, coming back, putting it all together. It was definitely a really wonderful experience. Not only was the process really inspiring for me, but the women that I was filming were also very inspirational to me.
How did it affect my career? I think it got me started in my career. This documentary really shaped my whole experience of journalism. I intended to do things quickly and be on the scene, and then I had the experience of exploring a topic from start to finish. And I realized that my moment, my ability to change the world came through really knowing people and really hearing their story. As the story evolved, it changed. I started this piece looking at it as a medical piece, and it became a social piece. That is what I love to do as a journalist. I love to start a story looking at it as this big thing and then find what really is there. And I went on from this piece, this growing concerns, which I was a terrible, terrible camera person, a horrible camera person. And I didn't really know how to light things, but I knew how to tell one person's story. And I used that to launch a career, with PBS and an international career after that.
It was really such a challenge. We had to do everything ourselves from A to Z. So the research, but also producing and filming and editing. And I also learned a lot as a filmmaker, as a producer, visually, and in terms of making a mistake, because I was the only one to blame. And I have to say it changed a lot of my opinion and editors and cameramen, and I really enjoyed it.
This was the first film I'd ever made, and it was really exciting to make. And once it was done, we got it into the Student Academy Awards semifinals round, and Michael Moore was one of the judges, and he asked me if I wanted to premiere it at his festival in Traverse City, Michigan. So that was pretty awesome. I didn't expect that.
Making a film, I learned through this process, it's a lot of work. I came back with over 50 hours of footage to watch and edit down for a 25-minute film. And so just knowing the amount of time it takes to edit a film.
I think the hardest part of shooting in Zambia as a first-time one-man band out in the field was navigating access. I learned that every environment I would go into required a certain amount of negotiating with people, why I'm there, what the purpose of my project was, how I was intending to portray them. And I think I may have gone in a little naive to the fact that I was taking advantage of people's everyday lives. I was inconveniencing people on a regular basis. And I think as a personal experience, that was a huge takeaway for me. And I've been able to use that lesson ever since, traveling to different parts of the world, meeting new people, and always remembering, I'm the outsider here. I need to make a case for why I'm doing what I'm doing.